Welcome to another episode of the Southwest Desert. In today's episode, we'll be diving into the captivating legend of Padre Miguel Diaz and the lost treasure of Sonoyta in southern Arizona. Our story begins in the early 18th century, as Padre Diaz and his Native American guides gazed down from a high pass in the Agua Dulce Mountains. Below them stretched the lush, green valley of the Sonoyta. A crystal-clear stream gushed from the foot of a mountain, meandering for miles across the plain before finally disappearing into the desert sands. Deer and antelope peacefully grazed the grassy meadows or rested beneath shady trees lining the stream banks. To the east, the imposing form of Montezuma Peak atop the Ajo Range stood eternal watch over the highlands. Thank you for joining your desert frontiersman Alan on another lost gold adventure. Please leave a like or comment. For further desert stories, hit the subscribe button. Padre Diaz was immediately taken by the valley's serene beauty. He decided then and there to establish a mission in this idyllic spot. After a night encamped at Sonoyta, the party made haste back across the desert to St. George Bay. There, the clipper ship that had borne Diaz all the way from Spain bobbed at anchor, awaiting their return. Supplies were unloaded onto the beach, then strapped to the backs of waiting Native Americans for the arduous trek to Sonoyta. Once preparations were complete, scores of eager Papago tribesmen were hired to craft adobe bricks and excavate trenches for the mission church's rock foundations. The Papago in the area were only too happy to assist with the work. Day after day, week after week, the church walls gradually rose higher, until after many months of tireless labor, the whitewashed structure stood proudly completed. Adjacent to the church, in the center of a hollow square, a spacious and airy residence was built for Padre Diaz, replete with every comfort and refinement. Surrounding it was an arched cloister, providing a shady walkway encircling the entire enclosure. Just to the east lay a 5-acre garden, while high walls were erected around all the buildings as protection against marauding Apaches. Further south, fronting the mission, a large square plaza took shape, bordered by orderly rows of peon houses. When viewed from the hills, the immaculate white church and buildings made for a stunning sight against the desert backdrop, unlike anything the Papago had ever witnessed. A trench carried fresh water from the river to supply the bathing chambers and washing vats. Exploration parties soon made exciting discoveries. Rich veins of gold quartz and placer deposits a mere few leagues south in the San Francisco mountains. An adobe smelter was swiftly constructed near the mission church, and crews of men set to work, panning the gravel and excavating the lucrative quartz lodes. The raw ore was smelted on-site into solid gold bars, while any nuggets and dust from the placer mining were carefully collected in sturdy buckskin bags. All of this precious metal was then securely stashed away in a secret vault dug beneath the very floor of the mission itself. As the years went by, Padre Diaz prospered greatly from his mining and ranching enterprises. Once annually, a pack train would set out on the long journey to Mexico City, laden with 1/5 of the year's gold production as tribute to the King of Spain, the Royal Fifth, as it was known. The aging Padre, his girth steadily increasing, took to spending most of his time lounging in the cool shade of his grapevines, reading scripture or strolling about the flourishing mission gardens. Each year, 4 of the most beautiful young Papago maidens were selected to attend to the Padre's household, some preparing meals while others waited on him and kept his quarters tidy. Older women tended the orchards heavy with pomegranates, peaches, figs, and all manner of succulent fruits thriving in the valley's rich soil and warm sunshine. However, as Padre Diaz's wealth and power grew, so too did his tyranny over the Papago people. They chafed under his oppressive rule, lamenting the long hours of toil in stiflingly hot mines and fields. Their women wore their fingers to the bone, grinding endless bushels of corn and wheat into tortillas to feed the hungry laborers. While outwardly peaceful, inwardly the Papagos seethed with resentment, their hearts hardening against the religion and people who had subjugated them so harshly. Although they had grown to love the beautiful white jewel of a mission nestled in their valley oasis, the Papago could no longer bear the Padre's heavy-handed dominion over their lives. In secret, they hatched a plot to violently overthrow their colonial overlords and win back their freedom. That fateful morning finally arrived in the spring of 1750. As the mission bells pealed out their call to prayer in the pre-dawn darkness, Montezuma Peak greeted the rising sun on the eastern horizon. The sweet scent of peach blossoms perfumed the air while small groups of Native American men, shoulders draped in blankets despite the warmth, made their way toward Sonoyta Mission. Curiously, not a single woman joined them. Once the church was packed with warriors, the chief gave a signal. As one, the men reached beneath their robes and drew out war tomahawks. Padre Diaz and his two visiting priest friends from Altar Mission were brutally cut down where they stood at the altar. Their lifeless bodies were unceremoniously tossed into the gold vault before the assassins methodically tore down the church walls and roof. Sonoyta Mission, which had stood for decades as a symbol of Spanish colonialism, was reduced to ruins in mere hours. News of the massacre spread like wildfire, igniting uprisings across the region. The Caborca missionaries were slain, while Beac and Guevavi were sacked and deserted. As for the lucrative Santa Lucia mine, its entrance was hastily concealed beneath logs and earth, never to be rediscovered. Many years later, as he lay on his deathbed at the ripe old age of 128, a Papago elder known as Doctor Juan unburdened his conscience of a secret he had zealously guarded for over a century. The old man recounted how, as a young boy, he often played amongst the crumbling remnants of Sonoyta Mission. One day, following a particularly heavy rain, he noticed what appeared to be a cement slab with an iron ring set into it. Curiosity piqued. He cleared the mud from its edges and gave the ring a solid tug. To his amazement, the slab lifted away to reveal a dark staircase plunging into the depths below. Descending the slick steps, Dr. Juan found himself in a small subterranean chamber. There in the corner, a neat stack of solid gold bars glinted in the weak light. Arranged on top sat several ancient leather sacks, some rotted through to spill their contents of gold nuggets and dust onto the stone floor. But it was the far side of the room that gave the boy pause and chilled him to his core. There, 3 leering human skulls perched atop jumbled piles of bones, all that remained of Padre Diaz and his fellow priests. After that chilling discovery, Dr. Juan had fled in terror, hastily recovering the hidden entrance. He kept the existence of the gold and its macabre guardians, a closely guarded secret for the rest of his long life, never breathing a word to a single soul. Local legends hold that on rainy nights, eerie lights flicker and dance amidst the weather-beaten remnants of the old mission, leading superstitious Papago to shun the sight. Among both Native Americans and Mexicans, such ghostly illuminations are considered a sure sign of buried riches. And so there the legendary cache remains to this day, heaps of gleaming gold bars and leather bags slowly surrendering their priceless contents to the unyielding march of time. Untold fortunes in dust and nuggets gradually accumulating across the cold cobblestones, eternally guarded by 3 long-dead alleged holy men. The lost treasure of Sonoyta Mission, concealed from the world for centuries, patiently awaits the day some lucky soul finally solves the riddle of its location and claims Padre Diaz's glittering legacy as their own. Join us next time as we go in search of more fascinating tales lost in the mists of time. Please leave a like or comment. Hit the subscribe button for more desert romps. Until then, happy trails.